You two. New. Not like us. You haven't defected yet.
So hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics to another Big Finish audio review, and today I'll be taking a look at the Defectors, which starts off the Locum Doctors Trilogy, and as well almost celebrating the 200th release from Big Finish's monthly range, which is an absolutely brilliant achievement. So if you want to skip straight to the review and you don't want to see how this audio is presented, then there's the time. If you have or haven't skipped, let's begin the video. So for the cover art, I'll bring a little bit more closer. We have the 7th Doctor picture by here, with the 3rd Doctor's intro in the background. So I was thinking they would probably play the 3rd Doctor's intro to start and close an episode, which they did, which I think was absolutely brilliant. Then we have the 7th Doctor here, Joe Grant in the Day of the Daleks costume. We have a new roping down here, a nice water effect down here as well, which I like how it overlays here, but it's a lot more than water. And we have like a water plant facility with pipes in the background. Yeah, very nice attention to detail in this cover art. Very nice cover art by Tom Webster. So for the side you have the 7th Doctor picture by there, Doctor Who the Defectors, release 198. And of course we have the back with what this story is about, which I'll place in a description down below. We have the cast members and what roles they played. Also, it is 120 minutes approx. So if you open it up, we have the booklet and the disc. I believe this one opens this way. Yes, it does, with disc 1 and disc 2. We have other installments from the monthly range, which are all 7th Doctor stories. And for the booklet, or should I say, a leaflet now, because surprisingly now they've cut down it on the monthly range as well, where they've ripped out literally 4 pages of the writer's notes, the director's notes, and the behind-the-scenes picture. So no lovely picture of Sylvester McCoy and Katie Manning, which is a little disappointing. Yeah, at the back of my head, I may be steaming a little bit, but I think I could live with this, but I just don't understand why they did it. And yes, you can flip it over if you desire for the Sylvester McCoy 7th Doctor layout. To the review of the Defectors. Now, I haven't read any other review of this story so far. I can't really say if this is a well-loved story, a hated story, or a dark horse story. I can't really tell you that really, but a lot of people have been very hyped for this Locum Doctors Trilogy. The thing where it's putting me off a little bit is a story by Nicholas Briggs, but don't get me wrong, he does some very good stories, but he does occasionally do have some weaks in there. To explain the Defectors is I think it's a very mysterious sort of story, where it starts off where there's so many questions the Doctor and Joe must unravel and find the answers to them. So for the starting premise, because I don't want to go too far into this because there's actually a lot of mystery to it, so I'm not going to tell you too much answers, but with the starting premise of this, of course with the Doctor and Joe, start off with the timeline sort of thing, with the 3rd Doctor is replacing the 7th Doctor. Joe Grant is very shocked, and it is set after the 3 Doctors, so Joe Grant does have an understanding, well, a little understanding, of the concept of regeneration, just a little bit. So we meet a character called Captain Cornelius, which is played by Neil Roberts, who says the Doctor and Joe have to go to this secure location, which is Delphin Island, and he is also using very strict and brutal force to move them to this secure location. And for the very odd thing that Joe Grant didn't know that was the Doctor, but Captain Cornelius knew that he was the Doctor. So yeah, very mysterious, that he would probably mistake him to find out who the real Doctor is, but he knew. And yeah, after Captain Cornelius uses strict force to move them to the secure location of an island, they take them to this cafe or bar where they meet 2 other characters of Claire and Jeremiah, who are the owners of that bar. And for some reason they never knew that they would be arriving there, and they knew their names and who they were, so yeah, very odd. And after when they go onto the island, more stranger stuff happens, and I have to unravel what Captain Cornelius really brought them to the island and why, and who is his associates. And later unravel what these things are right by there, and then we'll find out their intentions. So yeah, that was a basic rundown of some little nitpicks of the story of what happens. Yeah, definitely one of these mystery stories where the Doctor and Joe have to work together to unravel these questions and to find the answers. So first I'll start with the characters, and then I'll go to positives, negatives, and overall conclusion of the Defectors, starting with the Doctor, who was definitely Sylvester McCoy is going up on my list. He is an absolutely brilliant Doctor, because at a time, well, he wasn't low, but I think he was just about in the middle. He wasn't really a standout one to me, but when I listen to a couple more of his big finishes and get more of his TV stories, he is going on me a little bit. And yeah, he is a fantastic Doctor. And there's some brilliant dialogue between the Doctor and Joe, where at the start Joe doesn't really trust that is the Doctor, and sometimes calls him the Doctor by accident. Yeah, there's some fun stuff going between the two. Yes, Sylvester McCoy, a fantastic performance as per usual. So then Joe Grant, Katie Manning, very good in this story, I gotta admit, and she will be striking back in action in the third Doctor box set, which will be very fun. Yeah, sometimes Katie Manning's age does get to her, and you can't really help this because, you know, age is just something you can't deal with. And she doesn't really sound like Joe Grant in some of her lines, but I can tell, and with the nitpicks of some of them, she actually tries very hard to sound spot on like Joe Grant. And in some of the lines, it feels identical to Joe Grant we know and love from the 70s with Pertwee's era. So that was very good. She did a very good job. Also get some good dialogue between Captain Cornelius as well. Now with Captain Yates, Richard Franklin. Now to be honest, from all I can remember, I don't remember him being too centric to the plot because he was relieved from his duties during the times of the story, and we only seen communication between these two and Captain Yates through radio, and that's about it. And Captain Yates pretty much makes his ultimate move near the end of this story, but to be honest, not too centric to the plot. He's rather outside of all the action of where it's happening, so he's rather left out in everything, which is a little bit underwhelming to me personally, but he wasn't too centric. He still played it absolutely brilliantly. Now with the supporting characters, we have Captain Cornelius by Neil Roberts. Yes, very good. Yeah, he tries to act intimidating of a character, but he also sounds very fragile. But he does use brutal force, but would he actually pull the trigger? He's like one of these sort of characters, and he won't really do much if you go onto the wrong side of him. So yeah, it's one of these standard characters where you have to find out some questions about him to unravel all the answers, such as his associates. And then we have Commander Wingford as Barnaby Edwards, who plays a very similar role, or actually identical role, to Captain Cornelius. That he is one of his associates that gave the order to send the Doctor and Joe to this island, and for some strange purposes. So again, exactly the same as Captain Cornelius' character, so not a lot of different dimensions of character, all pretty much the same, really. And played their cards both well, they did. Now we have Headington. I believe I'm just going to turn it around. I don't want to say his name wrong. Headington, yeah, that's it. Because I thought I was going to say his name wrong then. But yeah, it is him, which is played by David Graham. Now we have a character which is a lot different from Captain Cornelius and Commander Wingford. He has nothing to do or doesn't care that the Doctor or Joe are on this island for this strange purpose. Yeah, got some good dialogue between him and Joe. To me, he wasn't a great character. I wasn't too keen to him, really. Then we have Claire and Jeremiah, which were very small in the part of this story. They're just the ones that own the bar. We just get a little bit insight of their characters, but they own the bar called Delphin, which is the same name as the island of the story. Suspiciously, they know those two names, so yeah, a bit odd of why they know their names, but yeah, not too centric to the plot, really. Not brilliant characters. And of course we go to, I guess, the enemies of this story until, I can't say it really because it'll spoil it, but we have the Europans right by here. It's either the European leader or whichever one's on the cover art. But to me, they sound awfully similar to the Cybermen, they do. And I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that, really, because they sound so similar. But as monsters, I think they lack as a villain until we find out their real intentions as they crash-landed on Earth during the Cold War, and Earth's environment doesn't suit them, and they're from a sort of environment such as Jupiter, which is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, I believe, and they're used to those sort of conditions, rather than Earth is not really a suitable habitat for them, so they are a dying species. And then we find out about their intentions later on, and during the end, I like this, is where Joe doesn't really trust that this is the Doctor, but when it goes to the end, you can see trust in the Joe does trust this Doctor. Now we go to the positives of the Defectors. yeah, there's some very nice stuff in this, but we also get some nice lines to hear the Brigadier in this, such as on the radio interferences. Now, he's not centric to the plot, but he is a nice little addition, which I like. I like these two where in the cafe they pretend to like the food even though they hate it, which is pretty funny. And part 1 and part 2 has a lot of mysteries to it as well, and you have to gather, and the Doctor and Joe have to gather all those answers. And then when it gets to part 3 and part 4, mostly all the questions have been answered, and there's only one more thing to do, is to unravel these guys' intentions. Now to the negatives. Part 3 and part 4 is for me, it's just it goes no more for me, to be honest, and it lacks a good villain. There isn't really a good villain in there. They sound so fragile and they don't sound very intimidating, they do. For me, this story is a good one, but it lacks too much for me, it does. Overall, I did enjoy it, especially the first disc, but afterwards it got a little bit more stale, it did, and it just lost my interest. So I thought this was going to be one of the best big finishes I ever listened to when I got to the first disc, but things got rather downhill, unfortunately. So the Defectors, overall, surprisingly underwhelming for me, actually. I think I'm being a little bit generous, to be honest, but I did enjoy it to some way, shape or form, but I think it was overhyped. Hopefully, well, the whole Locum Doctors Trilogy has been overhyped, so fingers crossed the last of the Cybermen isn't like it. And the Secret History I get. Well, Secret History I'm not too buzzing about, but that might even turn out the best. So I'll see you in the next one, because this review's going too long. And have a good one.